What is going on, everyone? This is Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is February 23rd, 2021. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. Today we're going to go over some quick housekeeping items for Pristine Capital members. We will talk about the price action and the indices, go under the hood and check out those sectors and style factors, take a look at some of my trades, and then we'll wrap up with some options order flow. But before we jump in, quick risk disclaimer. Nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, so let's jump right in here. And we're going to take a look. So tomorrow we are launching the long-term trend portfolio. And I'm going to be finalizing all of the holdings in there tonight. Definitely going to be making some changes after seeing the price action today. And it actually worked out where a lot of the names that I'm going to be including, they're actually a lot lower now than where they were when I was originally thinking of adding them. So feel free to visit pristinecapital.net if you'd like to sign up. And I included my email here as well. All right, so let's jump into the good stuff. Let's talk about the price action today. So we had the SPY ETF closing up 0.12%. Pretty unexpected there. Then we have the Qs closing down 0.3%. We have the IWM small caps closing down 0.88%. And we had the Dow Jones closing up 0.06%. And this was some wild price action that we experienced this morning. This was definitely flash crash-like, where a lot of these growth names, they plunged 15, 20%. Like, it was pretty remarkable in the beginning of the day. And you can see, by the end of the day, we actually closed positive on the S&P 500, but we sliced through, if I just zoom in a little bit, we undercut the 20-day simple moving average. We also undercut the monthly value area high right here. And, we really plunged into this value area. So at one point today, it was definitely like, that blood in the streets feeling. We ended up auctioning up throughout the day and just steadily climbed. And we ended up putting in sort of like a doji candle and closing slightly positive on the day. If we go to this hourly chart, you'll see something I caught that is very interesting. And one thing I was talking about earlier with members is, like, when we get these huge flush outs like this, that is typically not when I want to just roll over and start closing out all of my long. That usually ends up being sort of like a tradable opportunity, and it can often result in a tradable bottom when you have everyone capitulating at the same time. And it seems like that's what we had this morning. So you can see this, the first candle right here, this 9 o'clock candle. This thing was pretty vicious. We covered a lot of ground in this 1 hour. And then what's interesting is in the next hourly candle, you can see, we pretty much climbed all the way back and on a little bit of higher volume. So if you look at the past couple days, you don't really see on these green candles that much of volume coming in. So that's definitely something that you want to be cognizant of and you want to watch as you're looking at the price action. And so you can see on this hourly time frame, we ended up closing right at this pivot level that I have marked at around 38.80. So we'll have to see, for the rest of the week if we can climb up and actually make a break for this weekly value area low here. Yeah, you can see when we zoom out to the higher time frame again, we did close above the monthly value area, and we did close above the 20-day simple moving average. This intermediate term trend, it's still intact. So let's take a look. We'll also check out the Qs. The Qs were really under pressure today. Like I said, a lot of these names, if you're trading the market today, you know what I'm talking about, or some of these were really down. And you can see the Qs actually put in a green candle and closed above this 50-day simple moving average. And you can take a look. That's on pretty high volume as well. So definitely a big shakeout across all of these markets. And if you take a look at the IWM, actually put in a green candle and also closed above that 20-day simple moving average. So yeah, it was a pretty, spooky day, I guess, in the morning, but things ended up finally resolving to the upside, and we broke our losing streak of consecutive red days in the S&P 500. So yeah, today was definitely a challenging day in terms of, managing the emotions, not closing out on the lows, but it ended up working out okay. And one thing that's going to be on my radar for tonight, I want to see what this equity put to call ratio closed at. One thing that was a little bit concerning yesterday was there was really no fear in the market. So I'll definitely be taking a look to see where that closed. But if it did close at this 0.62, that is a pretty good indication that there was some fear today. So that would be good if you're bullish on the market. And let's take a look. We'll jump into the sectors and style factors. And yeah, you can see energy and regional banks are now in the top 2 slots in terms of sector momentum. I actually added an energy play this morning, so now I have 2 on the books. And then we have a lot of these areas. This looked so much bloodier earlier in the day. Yeah, you can see the ARK Autonomous Fund. I'm guessing that one has a big allocation of Tesla. Some of these other names that got really hammered, down 3.81%. We had the cannabis names, the YOLO ETF down 3.25%. And yeah, you can see this ARK Innovation Fund. Yeah, really all of the more futuristic growth names really took a big hit today. And then if we pull up our style factors, this is pretty interesting. So if you look, you can see the high beta style factor continues to outperform. It finished up 0.81% today. And then some other winners, we had the high div low vol, which is a defensive style factor, up 0.33%. We had value up slightly. And our big time laggard was the momentum stocks, down 0.87%. So a lot of these names ended up recovering their losses very nicely. Others are sort of, still stuck down in the dumps. Now let's take a look at some of the trades we put on today. Just bear with me one sec. So this morning I saw an article come out from the Attorney General about essentially limiting, there was this one company and they got hit with a heavy fine. It might make it more difficult to purchase crypto. So I sold my Riot in the pre-market. I had a starter position, and I took a loss on that Riot. And I said I just don't like this news that came out. I have to manage my risk on this one. And Riot ended up closing down 25% or something. That one really got hammered. Yeah, so it closed around $48. So I'm glad that I did that in the morning. Because this name, you can see, it hasn't even pulled back to the 20-day simple moving average. So it's still very elevated. So I took a stop on that one in the morning. And that was the only thing that I stopped out of. You can see I put on some Disney common shares in the morning. This Disney is definitely one of my favorite reopening plays. Just because this one has the dual tailwind of being a reopening play for their parks, while also being, a streaming play, where now they've taken a big step into that arena, and it's making up a larger part of their revenue. So yeah, I really like this one. It's built out a very nice base. And in the morning, I just saw, while everything else is completely plunging, this one, is holding up okay. And sure enough, it ended up closing in the green for the day. So I picked this one up at 191. And then what did I also enter? Okay, yeah, I also entered the solar stocks for an entry. So I picked up the TAN ETF for $99.56. And this is one where I'm pretty bullish on this solar energy for the remainder of 2021 and really into 2022 as well. And this just seemed like such an incredible flush out in this space. So this is more I like this space for the long term, and then it's just very oversold. So, playing a little bit for the oversold bounce. Yeah, you can see this one ended up having another, really nice green candle. It closed down only 0.39% on the day. And at one point, this thing was really, really languishing, as some other names were as well. And then let's pull up. I did a couple of options trades as well. And I do think there was a lot of opportunity. If you came into today's session very light, I did have, a lot of holdings on the books. So yeah, I had to manage some things, but I was still able to, add some new positions. Yeah, let's take a look. Let's pull up. So like I said, I wanted to add some more to the energy space. So I added some calls for 2022 in Cameco, which is a uranium play. Picked those up. I scalped some Zillow via calls. Made a very small winner on that. I picked up some exposure in Alibaba. I saw some call activity going up for Alibaba. And this one also ended up having pretty nice green candle. We'll have to see if this one can break out above the monthly value area high. But I definitely like these Chinese internet names. And it looks like this one, there were definitely buyers coming in to support Alibaba. I also took a call spread in this one, Futu. I already own some Tiger, and Futu was showing the most relative strength, in its category. Where like this one didn't even really manage a pullback to the 20-day simple moving average. So this one purchased a call spread in this. We'll have to see. I'm definitely bullish on these Chinese internet names. And you can see got pretty close to that 20-day, but didn't quite make it. So we'll see what this one does in the coming days. That about does it for some of the trades that I did today. So yeah, very challenging day. But I'm just glad I didn't, sort of puke on those lows. And then if we take a look at some of the options activity, this I find very interesting, that a call buyer came in for this block ETF towards the end of the day. In block, you can see it's all of these blockchain names and names related to digital assets. So you can see, yeah, this one had a pullback to the 20-day, was incredibly overextended. Now we're getting that pullback. I definitely want to give this one just a couple more days to see if it sort of resets here a little bit before I jump back in any of those names. Snapchat, seeing some calls going up in this one. This one is definitely showing a high degree of relative strength. So if you look at Snapchat, this one really strong, closed up 11%. So yeah, that one, very strong price action there. These are the BABA calls that I was talking about. And you can see these are for early March. They bought the 250 strikes. And then earlier in the day, this is another thing that I like to see this morning, was we got a lot of capitulatory put buying. That's one thing I look for when, trying to identify like, okay, where could the selling, finally abate here? And I love to see, players buying puts pretty much on the lows. So you can see they were buying Q's puts at 1020. They were buying Tesla puts. Really all these indices, there were a lot of players that, you can see all these, they were buying the puts on the open. So yeah, it would not surprise me if this ends up being at least a short-term bottom, just because we did start to see some of that capitulation. But that about does it for this market recap video. Hope you all had a great trading day, and I will see you all tomorrow.